This video is about loan disbursement restriction in a project finance transaction. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about two things, two restrictions that the lenders, they might impose on the disbursement. The first one being on the minimum limit on each disbursement, and the second one, the maximum number of disbursement, total disbursement over the availability period of the loan. So as you can see here, this is an extract from a real project. The first one, it states that each disbursement of the loan shall be made in an aggregate amount of not less than 1 million euros. So this means that when you are making your projections for the drawdowns, you need to make sure that each drawdown is greater or more than 1 million. So you cannot have a drawdown of less than 1 million. The second one that you need to consider, and it's an extract from a real project as well, the borrower shall not be entitled to deliver more than 10 disbursement requests in aggregate under a loan. So this means that when you are calculating your drawdown schedule, you need to put a check in your model to make sure that you are not making more than 10 disbursements, more than 10 drawdowns on each facilities, on each debt facility, because that's also a requirement from your lenders. So these are the two things that I want to discuss with you today, and I'm going to take you through a financial model where I apply both of these rules. Okay, so I have already done the calculation here. I'm just going to take you through the concept using the financial model. Okay, so in this model, I have a sources. I'm in a sheet that I call financing, and that's where I do my sources and uses of funds on periodic basis. So as you can see here, I have a line called all-in capex. This is all the construction cost, excluding financing. And then I have all the financing costs, IDC, interest during construction, commitment fees, and front-end fees here. I don't have any other financing costs. These are the three main costs that I have here. So overall, it's going to give me a periodic on monthly basis. It's going to give me my total project cost on monthly basis. And then based on that, I'm going to do my drawdown on my debt and equity. For example, I have here, as you can see in line 42, I'm doing my equity drawdown. Here I chosen the pro rata drawdown, meaning that on each disbursement, I'm going to draw down 70% on debt and 30% on equity, because the gearing set by lenders was 70%. So this is a pro rata drawdown. And then the remaining is going to come from debt. And this is the repayment that I have, the drawdown schedule, the disbursement schedule that I have for my debt. So as you can see here, we said, I told you that I want to consider these two restrictions imposed by lenders, and one of them was that on each drawdown you should not draw down less than 1 million euros. So it is okay for the first ones, but when I get to the end of construction, meaning that I am mostly done with most of the EPC payments, you see that I have periods where I am drawing down amounts less than 1 million. So that's something that I want to avoid. The other thing is that if I do accounts, I've already done it here. I just did it for myself. Later I have a check as well. I'm going to show you. So I know that I have 24 because my construction phase is 24 months. I also have 24 drawdowns on debts or disbursements on debts. So that is also against what the lenders told me, that they said that you cannot send me more than 10 disbursement requests. Okay, so I want to remedy both of these by including additional mechanics in the model. So the first thing that I want to do is to include these three inputs in my model. First of all, I'm going to say, how do I want to draw down on debts? Because this was, as we said, it's not going to satisfy the lenders for some periods. I'm going to say each drawdown, I'm going to look forward for 3 months. And so 3 months looking forward, that's the cost that I'm going to go and ask for the lenders to finance. So I'm going to draw down on quarterly basis. And the other one is this, the two restrictions that we just discussed. So the minimum disbursement of 1 million and the maximum number of 10. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the financing sheet, and I'm going to show you the calculation blocks. So first of all, we need to calculate this flag for the periodicity of debt drawdown. So because this one I want to draw down on quarterly basis, I want this to be one. I want this flag to be true when I am in January, April, July, and later in October, right? And I have the flexibility. For example, if I put this to 6, then this is going to be January and July, okay? So this is a flag that I want to create, and this flag you can do it by using the mode function. So just to show you, let me just take this out just to show you what the mode function on itself will give you. So mode of this counter, this column counter, and the number 3, as you can see here, it's 1, then it's going to be 2, 0, 1 again, 1 again. So what I am telling the formula is when the mode is 1, as you can see here, when the mode between the counter and this number of frequency of my debt repayment or my debt drawdown is 1, then you consider this as a true. Also, if I am on monthly basis, so if this one is set to monthly, then I also want this to be true all the way, okay? So this is basically a simple flag that I created here. Now that I have created this flag, the second thing I want to do, I want to create a sum function so that here, when I want to draw down on this January, on the first drawdown, instead of drawing down based on 13 million, which is this month, I want to draw down based on these 3, okay? So basically 24.5 million, 13 plus 6 plus 4, around 25 million. That's going to be my basis for calculating the debt and equity drawdown, okay? So it's going to be a combination of the sum and the offset function. Let me just do it so that you see. So I'm going to start with a sum, and then I'm going to say sum this up to, and then instead of the second cell address, I'm going to put the function offset. And then I'm going to give the address of the first one. The column, the row, I don't want to move the row in terms of the column. I want to go from this cell 1 to column, okay, further move away. So it's going to be this 3, and I'm going to fix it, minus 1, because if I put 3, then it's going to also consider this one. I don't want this one to be included here, okay? And then once I have done all that, I'm going to multiply it by this flag that I created. And this is going to be just the sum of this one, which is what I want. The same thing for here. As you can see, it's just going to be the sum of these 3 is going to be 8.2 million. And that is what is considered. So now this line that you can see, I call it 3 months looking forward cost or capex, 3 months looking forward capex, let me call it. So that's going to be what I'm going to use for the basis for calculating my debt and equity drawdown. The other thing that you want to do is to also consider when you're doing your calculation for debt and interest, interest during construction, commitment fees, any periodic fee, you want to also calculate them on quarterly basis in this case. So we're going to go to our debt calculation, and this is very easy to do. So the only thing you need to add is, because you need a number of days, right, in the period when you're calculating your interest and your commitment fees or any other fees, right? So for this one, instead of putting like the number of periods in the construction period, this is a counter that you have created in your model. Instead, use the same method that we said with sum and offset function with the same flag that we just created. Just create another one here with the mode function so that you can have a kind of periodic number of days, and this is going to give you a periodic also quarterly interest and quarterly commitment fee percentages. And this way you are paying your interest and calculating your interest on quarterly basis, and also you're calculating, let me show you, as you can see here, this is my commitment fees, the fee, because it is multiplied by this number of days for the fees calculation, which is on quarterly basis. So now you can see that the commitment fee is calculated also on quarterly basis. And the same thing for the interest during construction. You see that the interest is also calculated on quarterly basis. So once you have done this, you end up with the uses of funds, which is projected on forward-looking basis, the capex, and you're going to base your drawdown on this line item, on this line, which is, as you can see, is looking forward 3 months for the cost. So let me just run the copy and paste. So you see this is my total project cost, and this line is the line that I'm going to use to make my disbursement, my drawdowns on my debt and the equity. So now when we look at our debt drawdown, we see that for each of them, this is expressed in thousands. So you see that all of them, we are drawing down more than 1 million. In any ways, I'm going to do also a check. When I come to my debt section, I have included these 2 checks in the model as well. Let me see where I put it so that I can show you. That's the one. So I have this minimum debt disbursement amount check. So for each of the drawdown, I'm going to check that this is less than this is greater than 1 million. So this is all satisfied. And I'm also going to check for the number of repayments, that it is actually less or equal than the number that was specified in the loan agreement. And both of these checks, I'm going to include them in my overall check, and it's going to be included in the master check that goes in on top of each worksheet in the model. Okay. So that's it. These are the things that I wanted to cover today. I hope you like this video. If you like such a content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye. If you want to learn how to build better financial models, check out my online course on financial model spreadsheet design at courses.phoenixmode.com.